We'll check in with Matthew Alvarez, who was just with the last time we went to him. He's with Doug Mastriano in his camp. And then we've got Catherine Seifer there in Arizona in Scottsdale with Carrie Lake and her victory party, which you'll have later. It's going to be a victory party.
That is a party.
It's going to be a party. She's going to close it out. We'll check in with her as well. You can also check in with us on social media and share this broadcast, share this feed, and to make sure that we get the truth out. Now, we just wrapped up 4 days on the road. I came in from Dayton, Ohio last night. I'm team 0 no sleep right now.
You are, and I don't know how you do it.
0 no sleep.
But look,
maybe again, an hour or so, and now I probably need another Red Bull here in a second to stay up.
But we mentioned it a while ago. I made a quick mention that Brian and I worked together about 20 years ago. I'll get to that in a second. We are reporting live. It has been declared Sarah Huckabee Sanders has won the race in the Arkansas governor race, 58.2% to 37.1%. Great victory there for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Congratulations to Sarah. Going back to you and I, Brian, we worked together for 20 years ago in Beaumont, Texas. That's where we're from. Hello, everyone in Beaumont.
Do we have anybody watching us in Beaumont right now?
Yes, I've had pictures being sent in, but they've got some close races there. I've been following that as well. They're in Jefferson County, Texas. So far, the Republicans are ahead. Good to see. We've been rallying back at home as well. You were always very energetic as far as I can remember you. Brian, I always wondered, he's like Trump. Do you sleep? The answer is yes. No. And how you do it, I have no idea.
Well, I only need about 4 or 5 hours a night of good solid sleep, and I'm good for a while. But I tell you, tonight will be the knockout punch for me. I'm going to need some sleep. Take a look at this, folks. Now we're getting into kind of the nitty-gritty of the reporting here. 60% reporting, Walker down by about 1.8% on this. Very close race. If we can pull it up.
Yes, so I have that pulled up right now, Brian. Atlanta has been called, Augusta, Columbus, and Savannah. So you're looking at some mid-state counties, numbers that haven't come in. Northeast areas of the state have not been reported yet, and some western areas of the state. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay, so we still got a little bit of the population out. That's a close race, and I would say out of all the races we've watching so far tonight, that one has that edge that we're just trying to.
And we knew this was going to be a close race. There's no secret there that this was going to be an extremely close race. The polls were showing tight race, and we'll just see what happens. But Herschel Walker, he's staying in this race, and we're hoping for a good outcome.
We're hoping for a good outcome. Also, like I said, we'll check in with the Carrie Lake team to see what's going on there. There's some great Patriots. I mean, Carrie Lake is obviously a firebrand there in Arizona, but you also have Mark Fincham. You've got Blake Masters. You got Wendy Rogers. Wendy Rogers is another one that wins her area out big time. She's hugely popular with her constituents. There's Joe from Texas. Go check that website out as well.
Some of the key fundamental things that have been missing from the Black community. And I think that if the GOP actually wants to make inroads with the Black community, then they will do these things.
Fascinating conversation. Star Parker, Barrington Martin II. We appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah. We turn to some key Senate races coming up in from Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Illinois, and more. Updates from North Carolina and Ohio. We see here in Missouri, Trudy Valentine up against Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt actually down a few points, but only about 4% of the vote in so far.
And in Arkansas, we have U.S. Senator John Boozman. It looks like they're calling it for him with a sizable lead over Natalie James, but only 15% of that vote is in.
Also in Kansas in the U.S. Senate, Jerry Moran is up against Mark Holland. It's been called for Mr. Moran.
And in Oklahoma, the U.S. Senate seat, James Langford looks like he's keeping his seat with 66% over 34% for Madison Horn. 40% of the vote is in, but it's called for James Langford.
And in Illinois, the incumbent Tammy Duckworth up about 12 points with 19% of the vote in. Not called yet, but we'll keep you updated.
And in North Carolina, the U.S. Senate seat, Ted Budd is a little bit ahead of Sherry Beasley. 75% of that vote is in. Nothing called there. Still too close.
In Ohio, one of the most watched races probably of the whole night. We have J.D. Vance up a couple of points with 46% of the vote in, about 36,000 votes in the difference there.
And going to Pennsylvania, that closely watched Fetterman and Mehmet Oz race, 21% of the vote is in, and John Fetterman has a large lead over Dr. Oz, about 200,000 votes separating them. And now we're going to go to Epoch Times reporter Beth Bralia, who is covering the Pennsylvania governor's race for us. Beth, what can you tell us in there?
Well, here at Doug Mastriano's watch party, it's gotten a little bit loud. Famous Christian recording artist Danny Gokey is performing right now. Gokey came to Mastriano's announcement, and that turned into a prayer service. This tonight will probably turn into a bit of a prayer service as well. It's kind of Mastriano's thing. I want to talk a little bit about Luzerne County, where voting is still happening until 10 o'clock tonight. Typically here in Pennsylvania, polls closed at 8 o'clock, except for in Luzerne County, they ran out of paper and they were court ordered to stay open for voting until 10 o'clock. Now, Luzerne County has about 320,000 people. In the presidential election 2020, President Biden, and the official results in Pennsylvania, had 77,000 more votes than Donald Trump. So when you figure 77,000 votes decided the election then, 320.
Transparent about where you stand in the medical field, what your doctors are saying, then I feel like it's a cover up. And so that to me should be a shoe-in for Dr. Oz.
Yeah. Dee, I'm not sure where Dee lives. Send us a picture of Dee watching us on her
Good.
iPad there,
Thanks,
Dee.
Dee.
So thank you so much for watching us. I always like to give them a shout out. Dee Hyder is watching us on her iPad tonight. So thank you so much for that, Dee. And we'll continue to send us your pictures, and we'll see if we can't show them the best we can. A few minutes out, we'll check in with Matthew Alvarez in a few minutes, who's in Doug Mastriano's camp there in Pennsylvania. We'll talk about Mastriano before we go to him. He was one of the first people when we started doing these public Senate hearings on vote and election integrity. Doug Mastriano led the charge on that, and that's why he's so popular. So let's go over to Matthew Alvarez, who is live at Doug Mastriano's headquarters. Give us a latest update on there, Matthew.
Daniel Gokey is playing right now behind me. He's a Christian artist, started out with American Idol, performing for the audience here of supporters for, of course, the Colonel Doug Mastriano. The Mastriano camp actually says in Luzerne County, where that's Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, that a judge has ordered the polls to stay open until 10 p.m. Eastern. That's 19 minutes from now because of voting issues. That's the latest that I've heard from the campaign. So we know that from 7 a.m. until 8. And he just said the truth sets you free. I agree with that right there, of course. But the polls open at 7 this morning. They were to close at 8, but in one county so far in Pennsylvania, they are closing in about 18 minutes from now because of voting issues. Now, this is a pretty packed house here. We can take a live look right now and just see how things are going here. There's about 200 to 300 people at the Penn Harris Hotel. This is in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. Real quick side note, right across the street is the Holy Spirit Hospital. That's where I was born back in 1981. So it's kind of